everybody, and welcome to the 2021 WA State Championships being held here at Bunbury BMX Club. What better place to host such a prestigious event as the State Champs, as the most technically demanding track in the state, if not the country. This place gives riders of all skill levels headaches. Despite being the same layout for nearly 10 years now, it's still got people questioning the best way to race it. Luckily, we've got local pro Matty Blake about to join us. Who better to dissect this track than a local pro butting for his first pro title? He's going to run us through the best way to hit every section regardless of your skill level, as well as emphasising we're going to have a better look at the pro ranks and the absolute challenges they've got beyond racing each other. This track is treacherous for a pro rider. We really want to emphasise that so you guys can keep an eye on the pro racing this weekend. In typical State Championships fashion, the weather has settled in. We're looking at a lot of rain Friday, and that's going to carry on into Saturday as well, guys. Make sure you're racing to the conditions. Yes, it is the State Championships, but ride within your limits. It's going to be wet. There's probably going to be some wind about that's going to push you around. The track itself will take the rain. We've seen how quickly it drains. We've got concrete corners everywhere and a super grippy start ramp, so we don't have to stress that too much. Just make sure you ride hard, but ride within your limits. Enough from me. Let's get Matty Blake on. Let's start looking at this track in detail. Okay, so we've got Matty Blake here, local pro, looking to go for number one this weekend.
That's the plan, yes.
You've done a few laps around here, that's no secret. For those watching, particularly those that don't get the amount of track time you have, it's a technical track. What are the key factors to ensure riders of all levels are going to get the most out of a lap around here?
Yeah, deep manuals, so get your manual game on. If you're not manualing or jumping, it's just really pumping those jumps and covering those race lines, really.
So covering your inside's important,
yeah,
make it difficult for those to pass you?
You're right on that inside white line, in the corners, down the straights, everywhere.
Potentially a race changer for a lot of classes this weekend is going to be this double into the last corner. What can you tell us about those looking to try and jump it potentially for the first time?
Yeah, if you haven't jumped it, my recommendation is jumping it on the outside. It's got a bit more of a lip than on the inside. It's obviously not race line, but it's a start, and then you can move on the inside, come race time, ready to go.
And the lip on it maybe not so peaky?
Very mellow on the inside, so a nice little pop, no pushing through.
We don't want to speed jump this thing?
No.
And we don't want to manual it?
No. Do not manual it.
Do not manual
Makes me cringe every time I see someone do it.
It is a long way down, guys, on the backside of this jump. If you're not able to jump it, we want to be really don't want to be manualing it, pumping it and covering the inside line, I would assume.
Yeah, absolutely.
And maybe don't launch off the back of it.
No. Not unless you want to trip to hospital. It is just up the road, but it's not ideal.
What about for you pro guys? It's no secret this track is difficult for the pros. I've said multiple times, I reckon this track would have to be the most technically demanding, just technically difficult track for pro riders. The jumps are big, there's no doubting that, but this third straight rhythm is a doozy. Talk to us about what it's like from a pro's perspective racing on this track, and for the viewer watching that may not be familiar with the pro racing, what's involved in racing not only at this level, but at that level on this track?
Yeah, like you covered, it was physically, mentally demanding. It's the first straight, yeah, you got that big step up as the first jump. That's all about hitting it at 80% and just making sure you're landing on that backside. And then the way you go for the rest of that straight, you come around that corner and you've got this very demanding straight. You over jump that first one, you're landing in a ditch. If you're under jumping it, you're also landing in a ditch, so there's not much room for mistakes.
And that's just the first gap, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the first one, then you got the second one.
So not only are you focused on racing each other and trying to ride your own race, on top of that, you're processing how perfect you need to be through these two pro straights on top of what you're already dealing with.
Absolutely, and that just comes down to racing your own race, and yeah, you can't control what anyone else is doing, so focus on what you need to do. Once you do that, the rest will come.
Beautiful. So that sounds like maybe some advice for riders of all classes. The track does daunt a lot of people. There's no secret. This track, like I said, hasn't changed in a long time. It's still scary for a lot of people. Try to just focus on yourself. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Let the race come to you.
Obstacle gets in front of you, work, figure it out when it comes. But once that gate drops, you're racing your own race, and just focus on what you need to do.
Yep.
The result will come.
What about the weather? You obviously you know your way around and you know what the weather's like. There's a bit of a wind kick up time come finals time down here, or?
Yeah, definitely. Typically a strong headwind down the first and third straight. Second and fourth straight, it's obviously a tailwind, so it's quite nice. But second straight can be gnarly with a tailwind. It comes up very quickly.
So that entry speed you got to be aware of.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So Matty Blake giving us some awesome insights into this track, guys. Obviously being aware of the weather conditions on the day. Just something else to throw at you pro boys and women, obviously, come finals time. Really looking forward, obviously maybe a little bias to the superclass racing this weekend. I strongly believe this is one of the hardest races a pro rider can race. Not only do they want to win, all classes want to win, but this track can be treacherous. Thanks very much for your time, Matty. Good luck this weekend. We know you're shooting for it. It's going to be an awesome weekend. Let's wrap it up. Thanks Matty Blake for joining us there, giving riders some crucial info heading into this weekend's race and what to expect. Regardless of your experience or your skill level, this track always challenges all riders. Compound that with some expected difficult weather and you know it's going to be a challenging weekend for everybody. That said, it's the state championships. We're at the crown jewel in WA for the crown event, the state titles. It's not meant to be easy. I'm really looking forward to racing across all classes this weekend, guys. There's nothing like state titles racing with the crowd absolutely packing in around the fence lines, cheering their riders on. The noise, the atmosphere, it's unmatchable, especially at Bunbury BMX Club. I want to take a moment to sincerely thank everybody behind getting the races going this year. We're now under AusCycling, but we don't have that local overarching committee that we've had in years past that kind of come in, plug and play and host every round. It's been left to the people power of the clubs and its volunteers, many, if not most of which who aren't experienced in hosting races of this level, let alone understanding things like the scores set up, getting first aid in. You need volunteers on race day, the canteen, obviously gate starters, that sort of thing. But without that steering committee, it's been left to the clubs this year, and I want to say it's been a raging success. Now culminating this weekend at the state titles, I want to thank everyone involved behind the scenes this year and everybody that's also supported myself and putting out these videos. I hope they've been helpful. I hope you maybe learned a thing or two across the journey. I'm not going to carry on, guys. It's state championships week. It's awesome. Let's get amongst it. Let's get excited. Get your body prepared. Get your mind prepared. Yes, it is. It's a big event. Everybody wants that #1 plate. But remember, if you don't perform the way you would hope, there's always next year. We've got a full calendar of racing once again, culminating again in another state champs next year. So it is a great event, but it's certainly not the be all and end all. Embrace it, but most of all, enjoy it and make sure to ride hard, but ride within your limits. Get excited, guys. State championship week in Bunbury. Let's go.